The theatrics ramped up when the president began speaking, and Democrats were booing, catcalling, and holding up more protest signs. Then there were the moments that most, if not all, Democrats refused to applaud at all. Big moments, nonpartisan moments, moments about heart and America. The White House released this list. It includes a young boy who's been fighting cancer and at one point only had a few months to live. The United States of America protecting women's sports also was a time when they appeared not to stand. Peace in Ukraine, fighting inflation. The list is long. We'll keep scrolling. Democrats were relentless with their interruptions and disruptions. The sergeant at arms was actually called upon to remove Congressman Al Green for repeatedly heckling the president.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House.
I want to ask voters what they thought. Time for voters' voices. Meanwhile, the critics are out there. Here's one. Fighting Trump requires focus. Democrats didn't show it. The president's policies could rekindle the resistance, but House members put the focus on themselves. Democrats made it really easy for critics.
I just thought it was very disrespectful. I don't think they read the room, and the room is the United States of America.
They're angry, they're bitter, they're negative.
What's it going to be like next year and the following year? We're a better country than this, in my view. What is embarrassing?
I thought their display tonight was shameful, frankly.
Look, even the president said last night he's given 5 speeches now like that, and that's how they've behaved. A recent poll shows congressional Democrats at an all-time low job approval rating. It's to be determined if last night's behavior will help all those numbers. Meanwhile, Republicans are at an all-time high. In focus now, Republican Congressman Mast of Florida, chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. Look, what was it like to be there?
It was what I expected, because it harkens back to the first Trump administration. If President Trump does it, if President Trump says it, if he supports it, Democrats are going to oppose it. And again, as you said, it doesn't even matter if it's a 6-year-old boy that wants to be a law enforcement officer that's being recognized on the biggest stage at the State of the Union address, who survived cancer. They're still going to oppose it. And it doesn't matter if it's the waste and the fraud and the abuse of the dollars coming out of an American taxpayer's pocket. They're going to oppose ending those programs. The only thing that Democrats actually want to get rid of is the one person that's working for free, and that's Elon Musk.
Wow. Look, you speak actually to the years that this child has been fighting. It has been years. A touching moment when the president spoke to a now 13-year-old child suffering from brain cancer. DJ Daniel has dreamt of becoming a police officer, but the president gave him another rank.
In 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago.
Well, you just saw there, you see her there on the right with the pink glasses on? That was Michigan Democrat Debbie Dingell actually rolling her eyes when President Trump was talking about this child's diagnosis. And few, if any, Democrats stood or clapped. This is something different, Congressman Mast. This seems abusive to the American people to me now. Some of them are suffering with different things, but suffering in ways that they understand with all their nonpartisan heart what that child and what that father standing next to him, that family member, would feel like. This was tone deaf. What did it feel like when you were there?
You just used the word tone, and that was the exact word that I've used several times to talk about this. I think you heard it in President Trump's tone. You could feel the edge on him because his tone has to be reflecting the way every single American is feeling about, wait, you're rolling your eyes at this young cancer survivor? Yeah. You can't get behind the fact that we brought an American home from Russia who was going to die in a Russian prison. You can't get behind the family of somebody who lost their loved one at Abbey Gate. You can't get behind saving the money in my pocket when I get up going to work at 5 a.m. What do you mean? And I think you felt that in his tone. He reflects the anger of Americans and the frustration of Americans because he is frustrated himself by it, but he's going to fix it. And America will not look the same after his 4 years. It will not be wasteful. It will be a better place, and a better place for everybody that's in our orbit.
Look, I don't know if you were shocked, but it was a moment of surprise. You talked about the Afghanistan withdrawal and how deadly it was under President Biden's watch, those 13 American lives, along with all of those people on the ground who had helped us from that country in that war. He announced last night, the president, that they've rounded up the terrorists who started that, who triggered that explosion that killed all those people. I mean, I would have thought that Democrats would leap from their seats. I didn't see them do that. I'm not going to say no one did. I've got a big TV. Did I miss something?
You didn't miss a thing. And maybe the thing that you couldn't even hear because audio isn't always as good for the cameras coming through. But there wasn't just people rolling eyes. You would hear audible groans from people on the left, from the Democrats on the left, as they'd say, oh, here's Mark Faulkner. Oh, they'd groan about it. Oh, there's a young, we spoke about the young boy several times already, but there was literally groans from the audience. I can't believe he's doing this. Not from the audience, from Democrats in the audience, not from the gallery audience. And that's the disdain that they have for what are these moments that should be bringing us together, and they're just making more divide.
So the women in pink last night, those Democrat women said that they were doing that in protest of Trump's policies, which they claim are negatively impacting women and families. The head of the grassroots organization posted, just so we're clear, these congressional Democrat women wearing pink to protest President Trump and his anti-women policies are the same women who voted unanimously to keep boys and girls sports yesterday. Just more than 24 hours earlier, every single Democrat senator voted against protecting Women and Girls in Sports Act. Earlier this year, the vote on the House version of the bill had only 2 Democratic backers. Congressman, your reaction?
These Democrats in pink, they were never going to vote, never going to support a secure border that protected Laken Riley and would cause her mother not to have to lose a daughter, right? They were never going to vote to support or cheer to support not having men in women's sports protecting somebody from getting literally injured by a volleyball or in a softball game or compete in swimming or anything else. They were never going to cheer for these things because they don't really have a heart for the people that are affected by this. They only see people in situations as political pawns to advance their very, very beyond radical agenda.
I have said this morning to family and friends, it felt like watching that it was just an entourage of living heart donors. All right, let's get to this. CIA Director Ratcliffe has told Fox News just today the U.S. is withholding intelligence from Ukraine now. This week we learned the White House had paused aid to Ukraine after that tense Oval Office meeting on Friday. Ratcliffe said the progress with Ukraine's President Zelensky since then is encouraging.
President Trump had a real question about whether President Zelensky was committed to the peace process. And he said, let's pause. I want to give you a chance to think about that. I think on the military front and the intelligence front, the pause that allowed that to happen, I think will go away. And I think we'll work shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine as we have to push back on the aggression that's there.
All right, I want to go back to the congressman. So in much of Donald Trump's style, whether businessman or now president, it is, okay, if you back away from the deal, we got something else until you come back to the table. So you've got aid and you've got that intelligence. Talk to us about that.
Let's use the word tone again in this conversation. President Trump's tone with European leaders and Zelensky has literally brought results. Zelensky was wavering about whether he wants to actually work for peace. President Trump said, well, listen, if you're going to waver, we're not going to provide these shipments, this intelligence, these things. And now you see Zelensky coming back to the table. But what are other results? You now have literally UK stepping up saying, we're going to do an additional $2 billion every single year, moreover, on defense spending. EU saying, we're going to do a $150 billion defense fund for Europe. Germany saying they're going to do $400 billion defense fund in the years to come. real results literally because of the hardline tone President Trump has taken to demand from Europe, you got to be able to stand on your own. That's the partner that America needs, is in a Europe that can stand on its own. And that's what we're going to get out of you. It's going to be a real partnership, not we're your forever crutch.
Congressman Mast, thank you for being in focus. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Harris.